Hey guys, Alex Miller here. Today I'm going to show you how I maximize my time out on the water by using a couple free internet tools here at home to really break down a body of water before even getting there. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I'm going to do when kind of just starting to look at a body of water is I'm going to go straight to Navionics. And I'm just going to kind of look at the lake as a whole. And let's say we're thinking of going into Spawn, for example. Um, Out here on Presque Isles, just using some prior knowledge and uh, kind of following seasonal patterns. They're going to be out here on the big lake and they're going to start moving in. Now the question is how you can go out there instead of idling around all day trying to find little spots, how to use Navionics to your advantage and some of these other tools. So one of the basic things that you can do is just come onto here, and if you already know, hey, they're going to be in less than 10 foot of water, less than 15 foot of water, you can come into here and just straight away adjust your depth shading. And what that's going to do is you can see if I adjust it out to 20 foot, it's going to actually shade this whole entire map here to where the blue is 20 foot and under and the white is 20 foot and over. So we're going to actually bring this back down to, let's say, 10 foot, because that's usually, that's like my magic number out there for some reason. So when we do that, we can actually come back up into here and kind of start looking for little areas. So if you've ever come up to Presque Isles, you already know a big spot here in the spring is going to be this little area right here. Reason why is because they're coming out of the lake and they're going to start moving up on here, start feeding. It's a really good spawn area. Now, also, the one nice thing about Navionics is when you're looking for this stuff, and this is not necessarily like a springtime smallmouth thing, but for the fall up there, it's actually a really good largemouth area. This little icon right here, if you click on it and hit the question mark, it's going to pop up and let you know that there's certain types of structure there. Most of the time, the little red with all the black X's through it, it's usually going to be rocks from what I've noticed on Navionics. So if we take that information here and we see that that's in somewhat of, what did it say, 4 foot? So 2 foot of water. So with Lake Erie being so clear, we can come over to Google Earth and actually see where those rocks are. So if we zoom in on here, we can see that it's choppy on the water and you really can't see all that well, but you can tell that there's definitely something here. So you can actually come into Google Earth here. Actually, let me adjust this for you guys so you can see. If you come up here to the top and hit this little clock with the arrow going backwards, if you hit that, right now it just took you into regular Google Earth. But if you hit this, you can actually adjust from when the satellite images were taken. So you can come into here. So right now this was, when it goes on to that, it's just going to show you what month you're on and what year. So when you come back, this was still not updated. So on 6 of 2017, there was a satellite image there. So this is exactly what we're looking for. So when you come back a little bit, you can actually see, when you zoom in, that there is a whole entire rock vein that runs along this whole entire shoreline here until you get up to the cove. Now, also another thing that doesn't pop up on Navionics is this right here. Now, I know this from fishing it, but this comes all the way out until about 10 feet of water, and it's a big piling of some sort. And there's always a ton of fish that hang off right off the bottom there. So what you could do is you could drop a waypoint inside Google Earth, then take that and either just pop an SD card in and export it and put it right into your fish finder, or you can just manually get the latitude and longitude points and just manually input it, which is pretty cool. Whoop, where do we go? All right, so coming back to this, you can see that they have very good detail of all these rocks right here. You can see the channel, and it really gives you a better view of what's underneath the water instead of going out there and using your side scan or something like that to kind of figure out if it's murky water that day or it's really windy and you can't see. So that's one of the biggest advantages of using Navionics and Google Earth Pro together in order to find little spots like this. Now, if you're on a body of water that, let's say, they draw down for the winter, I'm trying to think. I have Shenango Reservoir next to me. They kind of do that, but there's not really good satellite images for that. You can actually go back in time and you can see where laydowns are, where rock piles are, all that kind of structure just by going back a little bit. And you may be able to find stuff there that even if you fished the lake your whole entire life, you may have never known that were there just by going back into Google Earth and going back in time for those satellite images. Now, the reason why I run two different types of mapping when doing my research here is because you're going to get little differences between the lakes that you're fishing. So right now on the left hand side, I have the Navionics pulled up, and on the right, I have CMAP. So as you can see, when you're looking at this, you can see there is a huge difference. And just so we can make sure we are on sonar charts. So this is the most updated version of Navionics on that. So when you're looking at this little area right here, it's saying that there's a point that comes all the way out into 20 foot of water and then starts to drop off. Granted, that is true, but it's a lot different than what it actually seems like. So that's why it's always a good idea to check it out, because over here you can see that there's a hump in about 12 foot of water. There's another hump and you got some deeper water close by. On here, it's still detailed, but it is a lot different. So that's why I always kind of cross-reference between two different sources to make sure I have the most information before going to a lake. Now, even if you don't want to use CMAP, or let's say you have a hummingbird, for example, and you have Lake Master Chip, and you can even do this if you don't have a desktop. You can download the Navionics app for your phone. I think it's like $10 a year, and you can just upload that to your phone. And if you have a hummingbird, you can fire up your unit and look on your Lake Master and kind of compare the two. But I find that when you're using CMAP and you're using Navionics together, you can really find some of those spots that may be overlooked by other people just looking at Navionics. Because if you look at this, yeah, you may go out there and fish that little hump in 30 foot of water, but when you look over on CMAP and you see 2 and 12, and then you have another one a little bit more down the lake, those can be some really key spots, especially in the summertime and fall time when they're schooled up and really starting to feed. I know I've done really well on this lake just on those two little humps bouncing back and forth between them through the day. So the last thing I want to touch on is using the Farwide web app to find boat ramps, because as you know, being a kayak angler, one of the hardest things sometimes could be finding a public boat ramp to launch from. So right now, this is just Pymatuming Lake, somewhere very close to me and that I grew up always fishing. But as you can see, this has pretty much every single boat ramp on the lake listed. There's maybe one or two that are off the beaten path that don't show up here, but that's kind of where you get into Google Earth and you really break down, hey, can I drag into there or something like that. But actual boat ramps, it's going to pop up on here. And it works for almost the whole entire country, almost every single lake that I've been to, fishing the KBF Trail. This is what I use to locate ramps. Also, another great thing, so you don't have to like go from one app and then try to find it on Google Earth and drop a pin on it. You can use the mobile app from Farwide and automatically get directions straight to that boat ramp. So that's kind of how I break down a body of water before even getting there. If you like the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe below. And if you have any other questions on kind of how to break down a lake or have any suggestions for the future, make sure to drop a comment. We hope to see you guys next time.